Okay, so in this video I'm going to be talking about the exponential stories in our review for this test. So I already went over the linear stories, so refer to that video for the first part of this test review. This is going over the exponential stories. So with exponential, there are two equations basically that we need to fill in numbers for. We have our growth equation and we have our decay equation. Depending on if your numbers are increasing over time or decaying over time or going down, you would use one of these equations. So the way you would set it up is y equals the starting amount. So whatever you start with, we'll just say A here, multiply with 1 plus the rate. So the rate in which it is growing over time. And then that is raised to the power of time, however much time is passing. Okay? So basically we need to figure out three things to do an exponential story problem. We need to figure out a starting amount, a rate, and a time period that happens. Decay is pretty much the same thing. We need a starting amount, but this time instead of adding the rate, we subtract the rate. So we'd have 1 minus the rate to the power of time. That 1 just means 100%, but as a decimal, right? So if I multiply something by 100%, I should get that back, right? 100% of my $10 is $10. So I get that same number back. This rate is what's changing it. Whether it goes up, I would need to add to what I already have, right? If it goes down, I need to subtract it from what I already have. So let's look at some of these and let's see if we can figure out how to do them. So you invest $2,500 in an account that appreciates. Oh, my lights went out. Let me get the lights on. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Okay. So you invest $2,500 in an account that appreciates at a rate of 7% interest. How much money will you have in 8 years? So appreciates means to grow. Depreciate would mean to lose. So this is growing over time. So the first thing it asks me is this a growth or decay? It's going to be a growth. And that tells me that I would want to add the rate when I put this all together. That's what growth tells me. Then it's going to ask me to identify all the things I need. So the initial amount is $2,500, right? $2,500. The percentage that it grows is 7%. As a decimal, to take a percentage and change it to a decimal, this is where the decimal is in the percent. You need to move it 2 spots to the left. So 7% becomes 0.07. This is probably the most common mistakes. A lot of students will put in 0.7, which is actually 70%, which would be a crazy amount to grow over time, but if only. Okay, and then to write our function, we're just going to plug everything we know into our equation, right? So y is going to equal, my starting amount is 2,500, times 1 plus my rate, so plus 0.07. And then it wants me to figure out how much money it will be in 8 years. And this appreciates at a 7% interest per year, so that would be to the 8th power. And then to solve that, your calculator does it all for you. You just plug in exactly what we see here into our calculator. So 2,500, parenthesis 1 plus 0.07, parenthesis exponent 8. Plug that in, and we get 4,295 and 0.465. So I would say 0.47 because rounding, but I would probably take 4,295.46 as well. So whichever, we'll put an or there, would work. Okay? let's look at another one. So this one, a rare species of bird is becoming extinct. There are a total of 570 of this type of bird, and there are 33% fewer birds each month. How many birds will there be after 4 months? So we're losing birds, right? So that is a decay. It is going down over time, which means I would have to subtract my rate when I get to it. So my initial amount is 570. My decay rate is 33%, which was a decimal. When I move it to the spots to the left, that would be 0.33, right? And so my equation would be y equals 570 times 1 minus 0.33. And then it would be at 4 months. And this is 33% fewer each month. So that would be to the 4th power. And then we just plug that in just like we see it in our calculator. So 570, parenthesis, 1 minus 0.33, parenthesis, exponent 4. And then after 4 months, there would be 114.86. But can you have 0.86 of a bird? No. So this is not one that you would round up, because you can't have 0.86 of a bird. So you either have a bird or you don't. And I know you might argue that like maybe it's missing a wing or something, but it's still a bird, whether it has both its wings or not. Okay. And that would be your answer, 114 birds. Next one, the cat population is 35,500. That is a large cat population, and is increasing in size at a rate of 7% per year. What is the population after 9 years? So it's increasing, so that's going to be a growth. So growth. So my initial amount is 35,500. The growth rate is 7%, which is 0.07, same as number 5 up there. So my function would be y equals, my starting amount is 35,500 times 1 plus 0.07, and this is after 9 years, so to the 9th power. Okay, and then we just plug that into our calculator. 35,500, parentheses 1 plus 0.07, parentheses exponent 9. Push enter, and we're going to get 65,265.3. And again, you can't really have 0.3 of a cat, so 65,265 cats is what you would have after 9 years. So just about double, or pretty close to it. Okay. Then our last question. Mr. Jones bought a car for $15,000. This car depreciates at 15% per year. How much will the car be worth in 7 years? So depreciate means it loses value. So this is a decay. So my initial amount that I spent is $15,000, or Mr. Jones spent. It's losing value at 15% each year, which would be 0.15. So when you put that into your equation, be y equals 15,000 times 1 minus 0.15, and that's after 7 years, so to the 7th power. And then you just plug that into your calculator. 15,000, parentheses 1 minus 0.15, and then exponent 7, and you get, after 7 years, that $15,000 becomes $4,000, 808.65, or if you rounded, it'd be 4,808.66. So either would probably be acceptable answers there. Okay. If you have any questions, please ask your teachers. We're here to help. We want to help, and good luck on the test. So I've gone through an entire version of the test. This is the second version of the test, basically, that you've gone through. So you guys should be prepared and ready. And if you aren't, ask questions and we will help and we will get you there, and we'll see you out there.